So this coming weekend, we've got another UFC fight night. It's Reinier taking on Brendan Allen in the middleweight division. This is my main card, quick picks. I'm actually going to kick it off with a featured prelim because I think it's got the potential to be fight of the night. It's written all over it. You got Charles Air Jordan taking on Dangerous Davy Grant. Both guys bring all the action. They're coming for a war, but I'm going to lean towards Charles Jordan because I think he's going to be a bit too quick, a bit too slick for Dangerous Davy Grant, who you can never write off. You know, he's going to come forward, he's going to throw hands, and he's going to get into a brawl, but I'm just leaning towards Charles Jordan to get the victory in this fight. So now we are kicking off the main card. You got Kyle Nelson taking on Matt Steamroller Frivola. Now this is also another one that could potentially be fight of the night. You know, Matt Frivola's always bringing it. He's throwing combinations, he's throwing bombs, and Kyle Nelson hits hard too. So who do we favour in this fight? I'm going to lean towards the Steamroller Frivola just because I think he puts his combinations together a bit better. And, you know, like I said, both guys do throw bombs. There's not much to separate them between Taylor the Tape. You know, 1 year apart in age. I think 1 inch in height difference, and both guys got a similar reach as well. So I'm leaning towards Matt the Steamroller Frivola to get the victory in this fight. And then we have Cody Gibson taking on Kuleng Aori. I believe I said his name correct. Now this is a tricky one to pick. Both guys have been in the UFC for quite some time. I know Cody Gibson, he kind of had to go away and then he came back through the Ultimate Fighter, whilst Kuleng Aori, I think he's been in the UFC since about 2021, so quite some time himself as well, and he's had a bit of an up and down time. But I'm going to favour the experience, the overall experience of the older 38-year-old Cody Gibson. He's a bit longer than Aori, so he's going to have to try to close that distance, and I think that's where he's going to struggle. So I'm favouring Cody Gibson to get the victory, and probably by decision if I'm being honest. So I'm leaning towards Cody Gibson in this fight. Now with the women's flyweight division, you got Manon Fiorot taking on Jasmine Jasdavicius. I'm really on the fence with this fight, you know, because you got Manon Fiorot, who's just come off her loss to Valentina Shevchenko, the Bullet. She went 5 rounds with Valentina, so there's no shame in that. And she's also come off, prior to that, she was on back-to-back victories against likes of Rose Namajunas and Erin Blanchfield, whilst Jasmine Jasdavicius, she's always coming forward. She's very skilled, she's very well-rounded. She puts combinations together well, and as we saw all the way from her UFC debut, she's not scared of getting into a brawl, and she's coming off her best victory, submitting Jessica Andrade. So how do we see this one playing out? It's going to be a tricky one for me to call. I think I'm going to have to favour the experience at the higher level, which is going to lean towards Manon Fiorot, you know, being in there with Valentina Shevchenko, Rose Namajunas, and Erin Blanchfield. So I'm going to lean towards who I think is going to be the stronger out of the two as well, is Manon Fiorot to get the victory in this fight. But I would prefer Jasmine Jasdavicius to get the victory, if I'm being honest. So now we've got Marlon Chito Vera taking on Ayman Zahabi. Now, Ayman Zahabi's coming off his best victory against Jose Aldo. Now, that was a close fight. In the earlier rounds, Jose Aldo was putting it on him, and it just seemed to kind of, he seemed to kind of outwork Aldo in the sort of last stretch of the fight, and he claimed the victory. It was a close one, to be honest. Some may have swayed the other way. Whilst Marlon Chito Vera, we haven't seen him since, what, August of 2024, and he's coming off back-to-back losses to Davison Figueiredo and Sugar Sean O'Malley. So how is he going to look? He's not exactly getting any younger, is he? Like, what is he now? He's 32 years of age. And Ayman Zahabi, even though he's not got to that level yet, he's 37 years of age. So he's no spring chicken himself, is he? So it's a tricky one to call. How is Marlon Chito Vera going to look after being out the octagon for quite some time, and he's coming off back-to-back losses? He's going to need to be busy. That's what Aldo did to Zahabi early on, and that's how he got ahead in the sort of early stages of the fight. And he obviously did seem to, Zahabi just sort of dog-walked him towards the end. He just sort of threw caution to the wind and marched him down and just outworked him in them latter stages. And Chito Vera is not exactly known for his sort of pushing the pace style of a fight. He's kind of a slow starter. He's kind of very well measured, very calculated, and he kind of just comes on later in that fight. So I'm gonna favour Chito Vera just because he's fought at a higher level, the experience, and he's 32 years of age. Maybe the break's gonna do him good. I'm gonna lean into that. So I'm gonna say Marlon Chito Vera is gonna get the victory, and I'm actually gonna maybe favour him getting a stoppage against the 37-year-old Ayman Zahabi. And now we're in the co-main event. You got Kevin Holland taking on Mike Malott. Now, these are the kind of matchups that I think Kevin Holland is ready to show and set the levels. Sometimes he comes up short against them upper echelon of the division fighters, but when he's got like an upcoming prospect or a mid-level fighter, he really showcases his abilities. And I think this is one of them matchups where he'll be able to do so against Mike Malott. You know, they're very similar 32, 33 years of age, 6'1", 6'2", but Kevin Holland has an 8-inch reach advantage over Mike Malott, and I just think he's going to be too quick, too slick, too well-rounded. You know, he can hold his own in the stand-up, he can knock you down, he can knock you out, but also if it goes to the ground, he can latch onto a submission there, and I think he'll be able to do so against Mike Malott. So I'm backing Kevin Holland to set the levels and showcase his abilities and get the victory against Mike Malott in this fight. And now it's the main event, Reinier de Ridder taking on Brendan Allen. Now I'm not really going to get into this too much. I can't be writing off Reinier de Ridder anymore. I've done it too many times. He looks awkward, he looks clunky, but he gets the job done, and them knees are devastating. I'm a big fan of Brendan Allen. I think he's very skilled, he's very well-rounded, but Reinier de Ridder, he looks awkward on the feet, but somehow he makes it work, and then when it goes to the ground, he's an absolute beast there as well. So I'm favouring Reinier de Ridder to hurt Brendan Allen and then to latch onto a submission and get the job done in this main event. And he's going to look for a title opportunity next. So I'm backing Reinier de Ridder. Let me know your thoughts on these fights. Which fight are you looking forward to most? And out of the fights, who do you think is going to be that fight of the night? I know I mentioned Charles Jourdain against Dangerous Davy Grant and also Matt Frivola against Carl Nelson. They've got it potentially written all over it. But even Kevin Holland against Mike Malott could be a barn burner too. Who knows? So let me know your thoughts on all these fights, who you're backing, who you think's got the main event. And yeah, make sure you're following the page. Peace.